This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 25.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 25, and today's special guest is Stuart McKeown from Gleam.io. Very interesting episode ahead of you, so enjoy today's show. Hi, Stuart, and welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Hey, Alex, thanks for having me.
Stuart, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your business? What is that exactly that you do?
Yep, so as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm originally from Europe. I live in Australia. I've been there for the last 10 years. And I run a business at the moment called Gleam, which is, it's a platform for helping other businesses grow. So we build a bunch of different apps that you can kind of subscribe to and use. Our sort of flagship app revolves around competitions, sweepstakes. And we've got a bunch of other ones as well that we run as well. So we're always building new stuff. So it's kind of like an experimentation platform where we've got apps that pay the bills, so to speak, and then we've got other stuff that we like to try. Like we've got hundreds of ideas, and we kind of build stuff and see how it sticks with the customers. And if we feel like we can start charging for it, we will. So so we're just having fun, I guess.
That's awesome. And what's the most popular and most used app from Gleam?
So competitions. We've got about close to 100,000 people using that app. Over 3,000 paying customers.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going pretty well. It's probably a little bit different than some of the other traditional competition apps out there on the market. It's very modular. You can kind of pull in the things that are important. And I guess the good thing is it converts well. It's sort of the way it's designed kind of promotes people doing multiple steps. And the average user completes about 5 steps. Mm-hmm. But it really, depends on, the funny thing is like the design of the app probably isn't the contributing factor to conversion rates. I've seen people with conversion rates of less than 0.1%, and I've seen some people with conversion rates of 80, 90%.
Wow.
So definitely the audience and the prize plays more of an impact than the actual widget, I think. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So we see we've got lots of cool companies using the product. We get, the way we build it's very based on feedback, so we get lots of feedback on, how people want to see us improve, any issues, that sort of thing. Big growth space for us at the moment is probably esports, online gaming. Got a lot of online gaming companies. We're probably the only app that supports Twitch. I'm not sure if you're aware of or watched Twitch before. It's like a live streaming platform for gamers. So you can kind of live stream yourself, play the game, and people can tune in, subscribe, all that sort of stuff.
It wasn't just gaming before, right? I think it was a whole bunch of videos and then they rebranded to just gaming videos. Is that correct?
Yes, it used to be called Justin TV.
There you go, yeah.
And then last week, YouTube have launched YouTube Gaming,
Mm-hmm.
Which is like their competitive platform. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because the YouTube Gaming, the UI is probably not as nice, but they support HTML5 video, whereas Twitch is still very Flash based, so it's quite laggy. It's not as smooth and nice for the streamers, but YouTube's very nice, and they automatically like record all your streams and save it as YouTube videos, all this sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But we very, very much want to be in the forefront of that industry, because it's growing very rapidly.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because Google always jumps on trends and what's popular and tries to start their own. Good thing that they have the budget for all of it, right? but it's you never know if it's going to actually pick up or if it's gonna die, because a lot of Google's project have died and we haven't even heard of them, or most of the normal users haven't even heard of many websites and programs and stuff like that Google created. So as you mentioned, we'll see how it plays out because we can't know in advance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, another thing is, so for example, Twitch, because they're kind of independent, they're quite easy for us to work with. We just integrate with their API. They don't even really have any terms and conditions around how sweepstakes or competitions should be run. They're kind of, as long as you comply with the laws in your country, they're kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, YouTube are very, very restrictive across all their platforms for giveaways. Like Google Plus, you pretty much can't run giveaways on Google Plus. YouTube, you can't do things like you can't incentivize people for clicking the subscribe button. They actually make it very restrictive to run giveaways, so which I think is maybe going to be a bit of a hindrance for the gaming platform, because I'm not entirely sure what we might do there. But whereas Twitch, you can kind of give entries if someone's your subscriber for following you. It's all a bit more streamlined. The more and more a network starts kind of restricting the use of the API, the more and more clunky it makes. So for example, if a Twitch streamer is using our widget, whenever a user logs into the widget via their Twitch TV account, they never have to leave the widget, so they can follow that user, they can subscribe, they can do a bunch of other stuff without ever leaving the page. Whereas with something like YouTube, you actually have to leave the page to go and do the stuff, and you can't really track it because of the way they've restricted it. So, Twitch provides a really good experience for us. We're not entirely sure what we'll do with the YouTube gaming.
I'm sure you'll figure something out. And Stuart, can you give me an example of how someone can use your competition app to help their business grow?
Yeah, so if you check out our blog, we've written I can send you a link afterwards. I've actually written a guide on 25 different ways you can use the app. So I'll send you a link afterwards.
I'll share it in the show notes for today's episode. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, what's typically the types of what's the types of customers or businesses that listen to your podcast? Is it people that have like e-commerce stores or bloggers?
Well, it's actually a bit all of it, because I think most of the audience that listens to my podcast or reads my blog, it's people that want to either start or grow their online business. So they are some bloggers, there are some people that are planning to start an e-commerce website, and some people that actually sell stuff online through mediums such as Amazon and others.
Yeah. Yes. A big area I see people struggling in. Like if you've got an established business, running giveaways is quite easy in that, you've kind of got an audience there to consume your campaign. You've got an email list, you've got, followers on social networks. Whereas like if you're just creating a business or you're just starting out from scratch, it's actually really difficult because, you may have an awesome product to give away, but you don't have anybody to consume the campaign other than, maybe some friends or family. So I see a lot of, campaigns either really succeed or fail based on, I guess, the promotional strategy around your campaign. A bit of advice I like to give is that, if you're starting out and you have a product to give away, sometimes it's best to piggyback off somebody else's audience, right? So instead of, so let's say I had like a sports energy drink I was giving away, and I didn't have, I was started from scratch, didn't have any email subscribers, didn't have anything. If I wanted to promote that myself, I'd have to, have to probably promote on something like Reddit, Twitter. I'd have to probably do Facebook ads. I'd have to, maybe try and build my email list before the giveaway so I had enough people to announce it to. And even that's only going to get you so far.
Wait, so you would try to build an email list before doing the giveaway instead of building it while doing that giveaway, right?
Yeah, you should always, the first thing you should do is if you're going to launch a product, you should always build your email list even before you launch it. So even before we launched Gleam, we had a blog, and we were blogging about topics that would be of interest to our customers. So, growing e-commerce stores, I guess, launching products. So we actually built our own email list there. And then when we actually launched the main app, we had a list of people that we could start promoting it to get customers. So, if I had done nothing, if we had just focused on building the app, that's like 3 months or 6 months where we could have been building a list.
Yeah.
And, you've kind of thrown that time down the drain. So, as soon as you have an idea and you realize this is the idea that you're going to focus on, you should start trying to build a list straight away, because, email lists are probably one of the most engaging mediums. Because, let's imagine, let's say you grow up, you're starting a business and you're like, yes, your email lists suck. I'm just going to do Facebook. So I'm going to grow my Facebook page. And I'm like, all right, Alex, well, I'm going to do an email list. Let's say at the end of 3 months, you have 1,000 likes or 1,000 page likes, and I have 1,000 subscribers on my email list.
Yeah.
I face the problem that when you post a post on Facebook, you only reach a small portion. It's called organic reach. So you're only reaching a small portion of the people that have signed up to like your page actually end up seeing it. Whereas I'm getting into, you will never reach 100% of people's inboxes, but I may be reaching 20% to 50% of people who have signed up to my blog or pre-launch lists inbox. So the cut through is a lot more. So yeah, I'd highly recommend building an email list first. We actually have an email list building product inside Gleam called Capture, which allows you to do that. So you create a quick opt-in form, you paste the code on your site, you connect it to your email provider, MailChimp, whoever you want to use, and you can start building your list straight away, drag and drop type thing. And the able list pop-ups that we have on our blog convert at like 10-15%. So 10 to 15% of people that see them will opt in.
Wow.
And again, that really depends on the call to action and the offer. If you've got a really good call to action, sometimes they can convert it up to like 30 or 40% plus. If it's just a simple, hey, join our mailing list, you could maybe be looking at like 2 to 5% opt-in rates. So, I think we got sidetracked there. So we were talking about, so, and the same, like we get a lot of people that are launching like Kickstarters or Indiegogos. And we, get a lot of questions about how should we promote the campaign. And, I think if you've already launched your Kickstarter and you're only thinking about promoting it now, you're probably in trouble. You should be working up to the launch with like a big pre-launch activity, so that whenever you do launch, a good quote is don't launch to crickets. You should be doing a lot of work beforehand so that when you launch, it's like fireworks. You've got all these engaged people and, can hopefully kind of spread and do its work. So with that in mind, let's just say, you've launched already and you've launched your business and it's not going that well. And you're like, well, all right, what do I need to do? A great way of sort of kickstarting things is called, what I like to call, it's like co-marketing. And it works really well if you've got a product. So let's say, again, I'm giving away like these super special sports energy drinks. They're really good. The first thing that you want to look at is getting some sort of endorsement. Can you get some sort of celebrity or person to kind of give you a case study, a testimonial that validates your product? And then try and use their audience to piggyback into their demographics. So let's just say, I'm looking at my sports drink and I'm like, right, which sort of celebrities tend to promote sports drinks? And I might pick like somebody who's a really good following on Twitter. It could be like a footballer, it could be like MMA, or it could be, somebody else. Mm-hmm. And you might start to try and partner with those people. You might say, look, I will give you, 20 crates of these sports drinks to give away to your fans. So then you might create a campaign, and then you would give it to the person that you're co-marketing with, and you would say, look, not only is this going to build my email list, it's going to build your email list, and get them to promote it. Mm-hmm. So that all of a sudden you've gone from not being able to promote it to anybody to being able to promote it to somebody else's audience of, it depends what their audience size is. So a really good example of this, I've actually got an example of this I can show you. So have you seen Dollar Beard Club?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So Dollar Beard Club, it did some really, really cool videos and got some really good hype. Mm-hmm. So they recently partnered with Dan Bilzerian. Is that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if you go to bilzerianbeardclub.com, you will see that what they've done is they've gone and they've partnered up with Dan, and they said, look, we want to do some co-marketing, and they've come up with a prize. So the prize is you can go to a party with Dan Bilzerian on his VIP balcony on the 4th of September, which is 3 days away. So what they were able to do then is get Dan to cross-promote their campaign. So number one, he has a beard, which is awesome because Dollar Beard Club sells beard supplies.
Yeah.
He's got something crazy like 12 million followers on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And like his followers are, they're really intrigued by him. They want to be him. They obsess about him. So all of a sudden, all he has to do is post a link and stuff's going to go crazy.
Yeah.
So they were able to get, multi-million-dollar marketing exposure for the cost of one campaign and the prize. So I guess that's a really good example of co-marketing, where, you're taking your product, you're giving it to someone who's got the exposure, and then you're both getting benefit out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. But see, it's a great example, but I think it's not as easy as it sounds to actually get someone, let's say, popular to endorse your product. And I think in many cases it will require like a big investment to get all of that going.
Oh yeah, I mean that's an example of one that's done very well.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to do it to that scale. Another thing about co-marketing is that you might like combine prizes with other companies. Mm-hmm. So if you were a beard company, you might partner with a company that complements beards. So if you sell beard oil, you might find a company that sells, other beard grooming products. And then you might combine and say, look, let's both put prizes together and have like a global prize pool, and then we'll both promote the campaign, and then you're both cross promoting it to each other's customers. You can kind of start small like that and work your way up. I guess, yeah, you're definitely going to need to build up some contacts if you want to do it on a bigger scale.
Yeah, that's a good example that you're giving me because I actually do sell some beard supplies, so that's the good ideas for me. All right. So, Stuart, can you elaborate a little bit on all of that again? So let's say I'm starting a business or already have a business. I'm selling, let's say motorcycle accessories. And I have this new business and I'm trying to do a giveaway in order to get more clients and get more exposure. So I'm giving away these specific products. And what do my potential customers or people that actually apply for that giveaway, right? What kind of actions do they take that would benefit me as a business? What exactly do they do?
So you can make that up and decide what's important to the business. So a thing that we kind of allow is, we're kind of platform agnostic. So, we don't just allow you to run giveaways on Facebook or Twitter. You can kind of mix and match all of the social networks that you're present on within the widget. So you could get people to follow you on Twitter, on Instagram, join your email list, check out your products. You can even go as granular as, awarding people that have ordered from your site before. So it's really it really depends on what's important for the business. From a product perspective, I really think that how you handle the giveaway after it's finished is equally as important as running the giveaway itself. So, let's say you said you're selling beard supplies. Let's say your giveaway was for, a year's worth of beard supplies from your store. And let's say you got maybe like 1,000 people, 2,000 people enter, and there's one winner. So one person wins. A lot of companies would just stop there. Whereas, you've got like 999 other people that wanted to win your product. So why not send them a special offer when the giveaway's over? So you might send them a special offer saying, hey, here's the winner. Oh, sorry you didn't win. As a consolation prize, we're going to give you $10 off your next order of beard oils. Or we're gonna let you purchase the product that that was in the giveaway at a discounted price, and then that way you're trying to generate revenue off the back of the people that didn't win the contest. So I think if you've got because ultimately that's why people run the campaigns. It's like they want the engagement, but they also want to increase their sales. So I think you need to think about how do I get people to actually purchase. And not just, a lot of people get caught up in the likes and the follows, which is great and everything. But, I often say, if I give you 1 million Twitter followers tomorrow, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So I think it's important for the businesses to think about how they're going to use the data and the follows and all that sort of stuff. And not just kind of get caught up in the numbers.
I've actually been thinking about both of them because I've seen such giveaway campaigns that would do exactly that. They would, find a winner, select a winner, and then they would let you know or email you that, look, we're running this 25% or 50% discount even for everyone who signed up but didn't win. And I was like, yeah, this is really good because a lot of people will buy. And I've seen also huge companies, like multi-million-dollar companies, that would do the exact opposite. The other thing that you just described, right? So they have, I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of entries, giving their email and everything else. Then they select one winner and it ends there.
Yep.
And it always got me wondering, I'm like, why can't you offer at least like 10% off to all these people that sign up to your email list? Because, they don't offer anything. So you signed up, you didn't win. They go silent for 3 months. Then in 3 or 4 months, you're getting an email from that company telling you, hey, you could get a product at full price. So the first thing you do, you just unsubscribe from their list because you're like, well, there's no benefit. I know I could get it for full price anytime, anywhere I want. So you feel like it's useless being on their list because you're not getting anything good. And it always left me wondering, was like, how can a big company act in such a way? Because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And this is an area that we want to get involved in more because, so the first one is, we're going to probably have revenue tracking inside the app. So you'll be able to see how much sort of revenue attribution came from the campaign. So people that were exposed to the giveaway, how much money did they spend? People who entered the giveaway, how much money did they spend? And then also we really want to get involved in the whole like life cycle marketing for the emails. So how can we help people, announce the campaign better via email? How can we help people do better follow-up emails after the contest is over to make sure that they maximize the revenue, all that sort of stuff. Because like you say, like it doesn't necessarily come to mind for a lot of people. They get very caught up in the campaign and then forget maybe, or don't have a plan in place afterwards to try and maximize the revenue. So, sometimes we feel like it's our obligation to make sure that, at least there might be like a prompt in the app after you finish your campaign, here's a bunch of follow-up tasks that you should do. Because we definitely do get a lot of people that, that think the app is like the Swiss Army knife, or the,
Magic
the
solution,
magic,
the shortcut.
the magic solution to all their business problems.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can run a campaign, maybe it doesn't go so well, and they get disappointed, and that sort of stuff. So I think big thing for us really is education, and we have a lot of documentation and a lot of blog posts, a lot of guides, all that sort of stuff. Trying to help people as much as possible, because not everyone knows the best way to do things, and like anything, the more and more campaigns you run, I think the more and more you kind of find how it works for your business.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, I would not recommend, if you don't have experience, I would not recommend like going balls to the wall with prizes straight away. I'd probably start out slow if I was starting out. I've seen a lot of people like give away huge amounts of prizes, and then they don't have much of an audience, and all of a sudden they're left with not many entrants and all this wasted prize money, where they could have given away smaller prizes, built up, and then went with that bigger prize once they were confident that they had a bigger following. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely hundreds of different approaches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all right, Stuart. So let's move on a little bit. And can you tell me a bit more details about your entrepreneurial journey? When did it start, and how did you get into the whole entrepreneurship world?
So I did electrical engineering at uni,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't like it. It was one of those things, I only did it because my parents wanted me to. When I finished that, I came out to Australia in about 10 years ago, so in 2004. And I sort of, around the time, just before then, came out to Australia, I was doing like a little bit of affiliate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was around the time where affiliate stuff was quite lucrative. There wasn't any real, the Google algorithms weren't quite as
elaborate.
Yeah, as elaborate and robust. So
yeah.
And that was a fun time. You could just try different stuff. I had like an affiliate blog at the time called Earner's Blog, where I kind of blog about just things that I had tried and what had worked and what hadn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came out to Australia, I got a job for a startup called Hitwise.
Mm-hmm.
So Hitwise is they were a company that sort of aggregates what people do online. So they used to have small little contraptions that sit inside ISPs and collects all the data. So looks at your IP address, it looks at what web pages you're visiting, and then it anonymizes the data, so it removes all the identifying information, and then it aggregates it up into like a big marketing platform.
Mm-hmm.
So companies would subscribe to. It's almost like it's like a Google Analytics, but you could look at what your competitors were doing.
Yeah.
So if you were, your beard site, you could say, all right, well, where does Dollar Beard Club get its traffic from? What keywords does it rank for? All that sort of stuff. So I actually worked for like the agency part. So I worked for like an SEO agency. We did SEM, conversion optimization, and I worked there for a long time. So I actually only went full time on Gleam last October.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I've been bootstrapping ideas since 2009. So before 2009, I did all my own stuff. So like WordPress blogs, affiliate stuff, just experimentation. And then around 2009, while I was still working, I was like, right, I need to get serious about this. If I want to build something, I need to find a developer. Because I'm like, I can't do this stuff on my own. I can do that. I feel confident with the marketing side,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel confident with the development side, and I can't make my ideas work myself. So I was like, right, I need to find a developer. I got this idea in my head that I was like, right, I want to find someone that's good in Ruby on Rails, because this seems to be like the go-to framework. Apparently it's quick for like getting your ideas out there. It's like I went to all the Ruby on Rails meetups in Melbourne. I posted on meetup.com. I emailed all these guys with my idea. My idea at the time was to build a coupon website. So if you imagine what sort of Retail Me Not is, that's that kind of thing. I think Retail Me Not were just kind of starting out. And I had wanted to do coupons for ages. And I had a few coupon sites that were kind of built on WordPress back then. And I was like, right, I want to take what I've got. I want to turn it into a proper site with, feeds of coupons pulling in, all that sort of stuff. So like I went with like my idea to all these developers, and they were like, no, you're mad. Like, we don't want to work with you. You can't afford us, all this sort of stuff. So, constant rejections until I finally came across somebody who was like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's give it a shot. So we built this coupon site in our spare time, evenings, weekends. I think we launched it like October, November 2009. And it would integrate with all the affiliate networks, so Commission Junction, Google Affiliate Network, all that sort of stuff. And it was quite successful. So like in the first 6 months, traffic was growing. We were making good money. It was kind of paying off. We were almost at the point where we were like, right, I think we can maybe quit our jobs and do this full time. And then Google launched Panda.
Oh.
And like completely destroyed us. We lost like 90% of organic traffic overnight. And stupidly, we spent quite a bit of time trying to get out of Panda, more unique content, trying to make the site as far from cookie cutter as possible, like really good store descriptions. We were even going to the point we were pulling in like BBB ratings for stores, but like we could never get any cut through, and we could never work out why, all these other coupon sites that were what we thought were inferior to ours were doing so well. So we made a lot of our revenue off PPC, SEM for quite a bit of time. And then we were like, right, like this isn't working. We can't be a slave to Google all our lives. We have to try and do something different. So we ended up trying a bunch of other different apps. So we attempted to make like the reverse of the coupon site. So a way for stores to like manage their own coupon pages on their site, so that everyone wasn't going to like all these coupon sites to try and find their coupons. But that didn't really work out because there was, it was too much of a new idea, and people, there was a lot of business development involved in getting people on board. We tried building like a Pinterest type app, sort of before Pinterest was around, for like sharing your favorite products, called Thing, which took off from a traffic perspective, but it just wasn't monetizable. And then we created a site which is still running called Server Bear, which is like a web hosting comparison site, which actually it's quite novel in that we have this script that you can run on your web host, and it'll benchmark all your things like your CPU, your network, your disk, and you can then compare it against all the other benchmarks out there. So you can see how your web host performs compared to other web hosts. And that site went really well. So we got really, really good traction. But again, it was built on like an affiliate-based model where we were getting paid on referrals.
For hosting, right? I guess.
For hosting. And not all the hosts were paying their referrals properly. It actually started getting quite frustrating. So, and one of the things that we were doing to, drive traffic to that site was running giveaways. So we would go to a web host and say, hey, do you want to give away, 10 of your plans to our audience? And, we'll share the leads with you of people that sign up. And we were looking for some apps that were able to help us do that. We weren't really satisfied with anything. So we kind of just built our own app over a weekend. And we ran our first competition. And then, all of a sudden, all the hosts kind of saw us running it, and they were like, "This is awesome! We want to use it. Can we run the next one?" And then eventually, it got to the point where we were like, there may be some sort of business in this, and it kind of took off from there. So we ended up kind of like ditching all our other products to build this full time. I think we started building it in March of 2013. And we launched it to the public in October 2013. That's when we got our first paying customer. So we were beta for like 6 months. And the app was shit. Like the app was really bad at the beginning. And I did a lot of outreach trying to get people to come on board. And, they went through a lot of rubbish, like things were broken and not working so well. But, I guess one of the things to our credit is that, we fixed things super quick. Like if somebody had a problem, we'd have it fixed like straight away. So we had a pretty good beta period. And then when we launched publicly, and we've kind of been growing from there. So we've gone from like 0 to 3,000 customers in almost 2 years. So we'll be 2 years live in about 30 days. That's kind of the story.
That's the story of Gleam. That's interesting. It's interesting also because I've heard quite a few stories like that from people trying to build apps or software of some sort, and they would actually spend lots of money on developing, and they would launch it and it would fail, and they thought it was the best idea, and they asked around, and people were like, yes, I want it, so they would launch it, and those people, well, a few of them at least, when they really made it big, when they really made something that worked really well and there was demand for it, it was by basically trying to find something that works, they would stumble upon a certain problem all the time that wasn't solved. Let's say, well, like you said, a giveaway app, there wasn't one, right? So they would be like, okay, we can't find something that we could use for our own business or our own plans, projects. They would create their own app or their own software and start using it themselves. And then people would be like, hey, I want that too. And this is when it would, hit them, be like, whoa, wow, there's like a lot of demand for the app that we built, not for sale, that we just built for internal use. And that I was like, that's the whole point. When you try to build an app with just, thinking like, I should make an app that helps people calculate how much sunlight is coming through the window. I don't know, something like that, that nobody really wants. But when you actually struggle with a problem and you find a way to solve it, well, chances are there are other people that have the same problem and they need it solved, and your app could be that solution, regardless what you're going to charge for it.
Yeah. Like there is, and when you run your business, you will come across lots of things that you want to do that you have to get some sort of app for, like you want to show testimonials on your site, and you're like, okay, what apps are out there? So you come across lots of ideas all the time, and we do, like I do see lots of people with like really, no idea is stupid, but you kind of have to weigh up the idea with like, like how easy is this going to be to build? Is it going to be better than what's in the marketplace, or is it going to be different enough that people are going to want to give you money for it? And how do you make money is an important one. And I don't really feel like people, they're like, I want to build like a new app that helps you like review restaurants and check into places and stuff. But the reality is like an app like that is really hard to make money from, because you've got like a whole marketplace model at play where you've got to get restaurants on board, and then those restaurants are going to pay you, but they're not going to pay you if you're not getting reviews and people aren't using the app. So
exactly,
it's quite hard. So I think a really, really good place to look, like Gleam was like, we weren't the first people doing what what our app does. There's other companies out there that have been doing sweepstakes and doing this sort of stuff before. I think a good place to start is you can overtake competitors and incumbents. I think a good thing that worked out well for us is that a lot of our competitors and incumbents have put too many eggs in the Facebook basket. They were building apps for Facebook, and then Facebook came along and they were like, no, we're just gonna, not necessarily cut off all your access, but like, so for example, one of the things that was very popular with, like, I'm not sure if you remember Wildfire, which was the company that Google bought. They used to do like Facebook tab competitions. Is that, back in the day, you used to be able to land people that came on your Facebook page on a tab. So you used to be able to say, if somebody comes to my Facebook homepage, I want to show them this tab first. So you could show them like your sweepstakes to anyone that landed on your page. Whereas you can't do that now. The only way to send people to a Facebook tab, if you've got it installed, is to drive traffic there. Either
directly.
Either through like Facebook ads or posting on your Facebook page. And the reality is, if you're going to do that, you may as well be sending the people to your own site because they're more likely to purchase.
Yeah.
So I guess when we launched, we were kind of like, well, we don't want to be tied down by, certain ways to do things. We wanted to say, like, it's agnostic. We prefer you run it on your own site and you can just pull in the elements that you need. But, over time, like, so for example, Facebook have changed their policies quite a few times, which has affected some of the ways that we do things. And you just kind of got to accept that. But also you kind of maybe got to build your business in a way that's, and I guess this goes back to the whole like Google Panda thing. At the time, we were like 100% reliant on our revenue from Google. Yeah. So if our site gets impacted by an algorithm update, which it did, we have the ability to completely lose all our money or majority of our money overnight. Whereas now we're spread a lot more. There's less risk. We've got subscribers that are paying us money. The only way that could happen is if all of a sudden, overnight everyone canceled for some reason or something like that.
If internet will disappear.
Yeah, or something happened to Stripe or something like that. So, if Google disappeared overnight, our business would still be fine, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing to think about, like your distribution channels. It's like, if you're very reliant on Google, it's a risk. Which is why, like, platforms like Kickstarter are so good because, you've got all these people that use Kickstarter that are really eager to see new projects, and you can kind of leverage that. Again, Twitch and YouTube gaming are the same. You've got all these eager people that want to watch new stuff, and you can kind of tap into their huge numbers. Whereas with Google itself, you're kind of reliant on building your content and getting the traffic to it, which can take time.
Yeah, totally. And what I like a lot about Gleam, that I've stumbled upon it a few times, well, more than a few times, and it's always been because of case studies, with basically showcasing the results that Gleam created for certain businesses. And I was like, wow, these guys don't even need to like advertise just because of that. Well, I mean, you need to always advertise, but in the sense that that's like the best advertising you could have, a case study with the results, with all the numbers, and I was like, wow, that's really impressive what they do.
Yeah, like case studies are probably like one of the highest ROI marketing that we can do because, I think when you've got a product that is campaign based, you need to kind of create content that shows people how to use it and shows people how other people are using it.
Yeah,
and that works really well for us. And I would love to do like 10 times more case studies, but it's just it's quite a lot of work. Not everyone responds. Not everyone wants to do it.
Not everyone wants to share the details either.
Yeah, and I see some like amazing campaigns that you just you're like, I want to do a case study on this, but it all takes time and time and effort to put together. But definitely like case studies and guides and that sort of thing are really, really good for us. Like I say, and I guess the good thing is, because we have a widget based product, Like the more people that use it, the more people that see it, the more people that get intrigued by it and, come and check us out. So it's kind of like that side of it kind of markets itself, which is really good.
Yeah. And Stuart, can you, I have another question for you. Can you share your most important tip to any beginner entrepreneur? If somebody wants to start their own business, especially online, what would be your most important and biggest suggestion to those people?
I think the important thing is probably your mindset and, how badly you want to succeed, so you hear about these sort of overnight successes. It's Instagram got sold for $1 billion, but you don't hear about the story about how they were in someone's, basement, not sleeping because their servers were dying and all this other stuff. You generally don't hear the story of the grind that kind of goes on in the background and how much effort these people are putting in
throughout the years, usually.
Yeah, throughout the years. So I think it's all about a mindset, and having a goal that you want to get to. So, for me, so I'm nearly 33. I've got a wife, 2 kids. So my goals have maybe changed throughout the years, where, maybe in the early days, my goal was I don't want to work for the man anymore. And, Google Panda put a bit of a dampener on that one. Eventually got married, had kids. And, my goal always was still, I want to be self-sufficient, and I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to work for somebody else and not enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to work for myself and not enjoy what I'm doing either, So I think, first of all, you've got to enjoy doing it and enjoy being an entrepreneur, enjoy come with ideas. I think the second thing is you got to be super resilient. If something doesn't work, you got to kind of just take that as a learning experience, I think, and not say, oh, it didn't work. I suck. I'm just going to go back to the corporate world and, work there, instead take your learning and say, right, why didn't it work? Was it the distribution model? Was it the idea? Was it the fact that I didn't have enough time to do business development? And then think, well, how do I do it better next time? And I guess, once you do have an idea and you've got traction, then things change a little bit. It's okay, well, so once we started Gleam and we actually had traction, we started getting paying customers. We were both still working full time. So I was working, so I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, spend 2 hours working on Gleam in the morning, get the train to work, work all day. I'd maybe be answering emails on my lunch break, and then I'd come home, and then I'd have the wife would cook dinner, and then I'd have to put the kids to bed. And then after put the kids to bed, we'd spend some time together, and then I would go and do more work.
That's crazy.
So you kind of then say, well, so John, my co-founder, and I, we kind of said, look, we've got a couple of goals or a couple of things that we need to happen or we need to work towards. So the first thing that we said is, look, if somebody's going to go full time, who's going to be more beneficial? So we decided it'd be better if John went full time, because then he could do full time development, build, scale, all that sort of stuff. So when we hit a certain monthly recurring revenue figure, John went full time. And then we said, well, when we hit another recurring revenue figure, I will go full time, which was last October. And then so at that point we were both full time. We could both pay ourselves the wages that we wanted, all that sort of stuff. And I mean, that's another issue, is that, the younger you are, the easier it is to do that sort of stuff, because, if you're young, you're single, maybe you don't have to pay yourself that much. But, I was on quite a high wage in my job. John was on a very high wage in his job. So we didn't want to go full time until we could at least pay ourselves equivalent of what we were earning. So that took longer. And, then once we hit that stage, we kind of said, look, let's not get caught up in too many numbers. What is the one metric of success that we want to hit, right? So I think the one metric of success was monthly recurring revenue. So we said once we hit a certain figure, that was our goal for the year. That one number, and we have like a dashboard that you can see when you log into Gleam, and it shows our goal, which is monthly recurring revenue. And then it was sort of my job to say, well, what are all the levers that I can pull to try and hit that number? You know, so how many customers are we getting per month? How many customers are we losing? You know, things like exchange rate affect the monthly recurring revenue. You know, what partners can I run competitions with to try and grow? You know, how much are we making from our email list? All that sort of stuff is what I focus on to try and hit that number. And we've kind of been doing that. So once we hit the number, then we double it. And we've kind of been going from there. So, I guess, you know, so if I kind of, you know, gone off topic a little bit, but, you know, so I think, you know, resilience, you know, just having faith in yourself, maybe just not trying to overcomplicate things. You know, if you're going to build a product, you know, try and make it simple. Just try and make it really useful for somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'll give you an example. So like today we, you know, so we're looking for a product to help us analyze our logs. You know, so we do like hundreds of millions of page views. And sometimes we want to look at a certain set of users to see what they're up to. Or maybe like someone's trying to cheat and we want to see what they're up to. We want to see what user agents they're using, a whole bunch of other stuff. And like all the solutions on the market are really like, they're either like really expensive or enterprisey, or they don't necessarily do what we need. And we're like, you know, that would be a really good idea to build. You know, so we get ideas like all the time, just, you know, from day-to-day stuff. You know, so I think, you know, you just need to kind of immerse yourself in it and, you know, look out for problems. And I guess kind of make sure it's a problem that you want to work on, that it's not going to bore you to death, you know, that you're going to be excited to work on. And, you know, I think the exciting thing about the products that we build now is, you know, the results that people get, like you said, like the case studies. You know, it makes us happy seeing other people get value from the product. Mm-hmm. That, you know, that for me is like the most gratifying thing on working. You know, the gratifying thing isn't like the money you make or all that sort of stuff. It's like seeing people use the product and, you know, enjoy it.
Thanks so much for sharing that with the listeners, Stuart. So everyone who wants to check it out, you could go to gleam.io. That's the website. Stuart, is there any other way for people to reach you or to check out your company?
Yeah, I mean, check out our blog. You'll find my information on there. You know, feel free to tweet at me. Maybe I'll give you some details over email that you can kind of maybe send out if you've got an email list.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, but you know, reach out on Twitter. If you sign up to Gleam, you'll get an email from me after 24 hours. It's like an automated thing, but you know, I couldn't send an email to everyone personally. Sure. You know, feel free to respond to that. You know, we can have a conversation. That's normally, you know, how I get talking to people. But yeah, you know, just, you know, if anyone wants to reach out, you know, feel free.
All right, Stuart, thank you for coming up on the show today. I enjoyed the conversation.
Okay, thanks for having me, Alex.
Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, I will be posting a show notes page at extrapodcast.com/25. This is where you will be able to find all the resources and other things we talked about in today's episode. Also, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the show, leave a rating and a review on iTunes. You can simply go to extrapodcast.com/iTunes or search for Extra Paycheck Podcast on your iTunes store. Thank you so much once again, and I'll talk to you next Monday.